Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Here is the promised video. My what I've read so far in November update and what I'm working on reading for the rest of November. Hopefully not interrupted too much by the cat, but she thinks I should be going to bed. So you might hear a cat telling us just exactly what she thinks. In the background, hopefully. How has my November reading been so far? Well, you might remember I'm trying to do a read 20 books that I own or have possession of already before I get to bring home any new books. So at the rate I'm going, I'm not going to be getting any new books in November because I've only finished 6 books so far this month. Yeah. So unfortunately, I need to do some more reading or I don't get to unlock the acquiring more books power until I start over in December and hopefully finish 20 books. We'll see. Not that I really have had any urges to acquire new books lately, but still, 6 books is pretty sad given my usual reading. I have started a lot of books though, and I have a lot of books on my TBR that I'm hoping will finish up pretty quickly. I have a lot that have bookmarks in them that have, a third or a little over a third left to read. So, sitting down and actually concentrating on them, I can probably finish quite a few of the ones I've just been dragging along. So I wanted to show a couple of the books that I've read. And then some of the books that I'm going to be reading. So these are the last 3 I read. I have Plague Birds, which I talked about already. Beastmaster's Arc, which I talked about already. And The Shadow District by Arnold Inderson. I'm not sure if I talked about this one on a video that I actually posted. That would be the last book I finished in November, at least print. I think I finished Tono Bungay as an audiobook after this one, but that was as an audiobook. So that's actually half of the books I finished in November right there. Very sad. But I do have several that I'm working on. The one I've been reading mostly tonight is Anderson Cooper's memoir, Dispatches from the Edge, a memoir of war, disasters, and survival. Anderson Cooper is a journalist who has been well known for reporting from all the most dangerous places in the world, and some of the places he's reported, after other war correspondents are attacked or murdered or kidnapped, he's still out there and seems very trustworthy and is willing to put his life on the line to get the truth in places where it's really hard to do so without getting killed. So one of those modern day heroes that we have. But he had a rough childhood and beginning, and it takes something, personality or circumstance or something to put yourself in that lifestyle and stay with it. It is definitely not something that everybody has the stomach for or the circumstances for. if you have dependents that are going to be suffering if you get murdered or, kidnapped, that might put a damper on your willingness to be a reporter in these areas. Anyway, so this is an interesting memoir. He starts out, he's talking about, places that kind of trigger memories for him, that trigger some of the trauma that he's been through that he didn't let himself really process for a long time. Which is not surprising if you think about, how he became a reporter. I think it's really funny, the bit about how he became a reporter, though, that he had someone forge a press pass for him and went off to some dangerous location to, interview people, get some footage and get a story and try to sell it to Channel 1. Yeah. So he wasn't actually a reporter. He was just, not even freelance. He was a baby freelancer. He hadn't done it before. So he figured he'd learn on the job. And, it worked. He sold his story, and the rest is history. So that one I've been enjoying. It's kind of in the theme of the sorts of things I've been watching in live stream, but without being the live streams. So it's a lot less traumatic than watching the current war. And at the moment, the Icelandic volcano isn't doing anything. I guess the magma is recharging. So once the magma pressure increases again, we'll probably start seeing more stuff from Iceland. For the moment, it's pretty quiet, though. So I've been working on the 12 Caesars still. I want to finish the Caesar that I'm on. I don't know if I'm going to finish this one in November. It's really dense, so the print is tiny, 6-point font. The kind of font where if you turned your paper in that font in any school anywhere, you would have it handed back to you and told it needs to be 12-point font, 10-point at the smallest, and definitely not 6-point because the teacher has to be able to read it. Well, this book is in 6-point font and small margins and dense writing, and so I have to be in the mood for it. Although I'm also reading that the Roman World AD 400 to 900. That one kind of links in with the Suetonias because it's all Roman Empire. So if I get in the mood for one, I might be able to piggyback onto the other. I'm actually really close to finishing the transformation of the Roman world. So that one will probably be one of the next ones I actually get to mark as done. I'm still working on Conan the Adventurer, Touch Not the Cat. My next Andre Norton is A Taste of Magic, which I started during one of my reading relay sprints 2 weeks ago or something like that. I've started on one of my books for a nonfiction November for, is it display? Anyway, one of the terms or the keywords for the nonfiction November. It's called Seeing Science. It's all about how we see science concepts and the technology and the artistry and everything that goes into making science visible and accessible and beautiful at the same time. So this is actually one of the last books I got from a Goodreads giveaway. I haven't even entered a lot of them anymore. The Goodreads giveaways, I used to win a lot. And I never put my name in for a book that I'm not willing to read. So even with that stipulation, I used to win a lot of books. And I read most of the books I got. And after a while, about the time that they changed their policy to make it harder for authors to list their books, so that it was more expensive and there were more barriers. When they changed that, they also changed some other things, I think, in the back end that affected how likely it is that you win. So, yeah, I haven't won very many, but this is one I did. I think it might be one of the last books I've won off the Goodreads giveaways. And I've had it for a little while, so one of these days I need to go through the list and see if there's any more books that I want to win. Although, I don't know how that works with my not being able to acquire new books. Because that would be like acquiring new books. But they might not show up till after I finish the 20 books. I think that's a gray area. And it doesn't apply unless I actually win a book. So, I'm also reading the tomes that I've been carrying over from last month. So, London by Edward Rutherford, Barkskins by Annie Proulx, and Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. So, those ones I'm making some progress in. I think the most progress is actually in London by Rutherford. So that one might be the next tome that I finish. But there's still a lot of book left. I have 2 library books left. Only 2. I did restrain myself to not checking out more books when I went to the library last. And I acquired a book, but not for me. It was for a gift. And I already gave it, so I no longer have that book. So far I've actually followed the rules. I still need to start Poor Folk by Dostoevsky for one of the reading groups that's on BookTube. Which right now I'm not going to remember which one it was, but I know I'm supposed to be reading Poor Folk. And I haven't really gotten to it yet. I've got 2 copies of it. One has House of the Dead, and the other one has a bunch of short stories. So I'm probably going to just read Poor Folk in whichever version I like better. I don't know if they're the same translation, so I'll have to look. And then read House of the Dead and the short stories, and then be done with both books. And then I also need to read North and South. That one's Elizabeth Gaskell, and that's for a Book of the Month book club thing for another BookTube. So those are the 2 titles that I'm supposed to read this month, specifically, that I haven't gotten to yet. I still keep meaning to start Death of the Demon by Anne Holt and haven't gotten to it yet. I'm most of the way through Raymond Chandler's Simple Art of Murder, so that might also be one of the next ones I finish. It's short stories, murder mysteries. I've read almost all of Chandler's novels at this point. I should look at a list and see if there's any I'm missing that are just harder to get. But all the ones that are easy to acquire, I've read them. So I'm almost to the point where I finished all of Chandler's available published work. So that's fun. I've made some progress in Islanders by Christopher Priest, which is a bit odd. It does remind me of the Italo Calvino's Invisible Cities. Anyway, one of Calvino's books is basically just like a listing, like an encyclopedia almost of a list of cities. It's really boring. I like some of Calvino's works a lot. The ones that have a narrative element. That one wasn't one of those. So my sister sent me The Islanders and said that it was probably similar. It is similar, but I think there is starting to be a thread of a plot through The Islanders. It's also like a cataloging or encyclopedia of all the islands in this island planet, like a water body with just a whole bunch of little islands, but not real continents. And then it's just listing all the islands and telling a little bit about each one. But I'm starting to recognize a little bit of a thread that's tying these descriptions together. So it might actually have a plot, which would help. I'm about halfway through Wartime Letters of Rainer Maria Rilke. I'm enjoying that one and actually delaying finishing it because I'm enjoying it. That needs to stop. I need to read it. If I want to reread it, I can do that. I need to finish it. And Wastelands by John Joseph Adams. Similarly, I keep delaying finishing it. But it's mine. I can reread it whenever I want. And actually, a lot of the stories are just good. They're not the most amazing stories ever in the genre or in the subgenre or whatever. They're just good. So, yeah, I need to just finish that. And then Morris O'Sullivan's 20 Years of Growing. It's a autobiography or memoir about a guy who grew up on one of the little tiny islands off of Ireland. So super traditional and, an older way of life that didn't change for a very long time. So that one should be fun. Shroud of Sorrow and Fear of the Dark, the two Doctor Who's I've been working on, are still on my stack. And I still have the Analog magazine. There are other books that I've included in my TBRs in the past that I'm not focusing on quite yet. And I do have a couple other non-fictions that have snuck on. There's that Fossil World book that kind of looks like a Time Life big format hardback that I've been reading. And I added a fiction book that was not on my TBR, but I wanted another murder mystery. I finished the Indradesen book and realized I haven't done very many murder mysteries lately, and I was missing them. So I moved The Luminous Heart of Jonah S. onto my TBR for this month, which so far has an Iranian Jew murdered in his car outside his gated home. And his wife finds his freshly murdered body because she hears a crash, and he's crashed the car into the gate as he's dying from his throat being cut. So it's quite a dramatic beginning. That one could be interesting. And I have the History of Witchcraft, which I've started, actually. I started it a couple nights ago, and it's definitely readable. And I like that the author is not super superstitious. I was a little concerned about that. I've had friends that were really New Age, and some of the books they would be having me read that would have the History of Witchcraft on the cover, I would find a little less readable. But this one's pretty good. It's fairly scholarly and straightforward so far. So that's what I'm reading. I'm actually going to settle into doing some reading sprints for the rest of the evening. It's the end of Thanksgiving, thankfully. Although in our family, we'll be doing Thanksgiving on Sunday, so I'm not quite done yet. But Thanksgiving itself is done. I had Thanksgiving dinner with a friend. We had bacon-wrapped meatloaf. It's so nice to be a grown-up because you can decide whether you're going to do turkey or not. I don't like turkey. She doesn't like turkey. Bacon wrapped meatloaf. That worked really, really, really well. So I had a good dinner. The cats are relaxing. We didn't find the catnip. I put it somewhere safe so that they wouldn't steal it, and now I can't figure out where I put it. So we'll probably do a catnip party tomorrow. I get the 1 pound bags of catnip off of Amazon and make little piles, and they can run through it and roll in it. They love it. So that'll be tomorrow. And my sick kitten is not great. She's not eating by herself yet. She crashed 2 nights ago. Was it 2 nights ago? No, it was last night. It just feels like 2 nights ago. It was last night. She crashed last night, like late afternoon, early evening last night, where she was starting to shut down, right? And she's not been eating well for the last day, even before she actually crashed. But, it wasn't really obvious, and, she just wasn't doing a lot. Yeah. So, and, hopefully she's going to be better, but we don't know what it is yet. Obviously, it being a holiday is an awkward time for a kitten to choose to crash. So, she's already on antibiotics. She's already being treated with dewormer, and I was able to find the tail end of a medication for gut infections specifically. So if it's coccidia, she should be starting to get better, because that's what that med specifically treats, along with other things. So yeah, she's already on a lot of medications. There's not a lot that a vet could do in terms of prescribing anything more. It would be lovely to know what it is. But by the time any tests come back, either she'll have recovered or she'll be dead anyway. So it's always frustrating with kittens. They're so little that anything that happens quick. So we were able to catch it. I didn't really sleep last night. So I'm definitely going to be sleeping tonight. She's stabilized enough that I can get her to consume more than a few drops at a time. And I've got her eating really high density, like emergency, like urgent care food. So the food she is taking in is really high quality in terms of calories and nutrients and everything. So I've made sure that she has enough going into her today, that she should have enough to carry her through the night. I'm going to give her another little bit before I go to bed, and hopefully she'll be stable, and we'll just see. I suspect that's going to be something that either is just a virus that's, spiked, or it's going to be something like FIP. She is from a colony where we've seen FIP before. FIP is a nasty thing. It's similar to long COVID in that it's caused by a SARS virus, but it's not directly caused by the SARS virus. It's like the virus gives them basically like an upper respiratory infection, and it doesn't have to be all that severe. They might not even really do more than just sneeze a little bit. Kind of like a lot of people would get COVID, and it wouldn't be really intense. It would just be like a mild cold. But then a while later, after they've recovered, they get this onset of long COVID. And FIP is a similar sort of pattern. After they've gotten over the upper respiratory infection, and they seem fine. Then all of a sudden, they have a swelling where their body starts to fill with fluids. And that's usually how you can recognize it, if it's, that form of FIP. There's another form where they get really wobbly and dizzy, and they're just not able to respond to things very well. That one, even with the very recently available treatment, that one doesn't always clear up. There is a treatment that's mostly black market still at this point that actually does work for FIP. Very expensive, very taxing, but it used to be a death sentence. So I'm really hoping that's not what she has, because she does come from a colony with FIP in its history. And we have another kitten in our little rescue group that came from the same place, different parentage, but same place, that we're treating for FIP now. So I'm hoping that this is not that. But if it is, we'll have to figure that out. It also could just be that it's a combination of virus and gut infection, and I have a cat now that's about almost 5 years old, that it took me 4 days of not really sleeping and hand feeding him to get him through what turned out to really just be a bad viral infection. And he's gonna be 5 in April, so I'm hoping it's one of those, because that's something I can treat with what I have on hand. And it's not something where it's going to be prohibitively difficult or expensive. There's also a possibility that it's a birth defect, because the colony she came from is extremely inbred. And we've seen that before too. If it's a birth defect, if it's something like a bad heart or another organ malformation, there may not be anything I can do. So I have no idea how long I'm going to have this kitten. But for the moment, I have a kitten, and she's very sick. So doing better. She's feeling enough better to tell me that she does not like the urgent care food, which she couldn't really do last night. So yeah, she's at least feeling enough better to be fussy. So that's kind of what's going on here. I will probably be posting more as I work out where I want to sit in the house to upload videos. There's the cat. That is the cat telling me she has her toy and I'm supposed to make it move. Yep. So I'd better go make the cat's toy move. I will catch you guys in the next video. Hope you're having a lovely reading weekend this weekend, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye, guys.